Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I am Andrea Asebedo, and every week I've been offering a gratitude. Today, here in the Pacific Northwest, it's cold. We've been having lovely weather, and now we have June weather, which is very changeable. And it just made me realize how appreciative I am of Mother Earth and the incredible diversity that she holds, and grateful for you being here. So right now, with that understanding, let's move into some music by Amber Darlin.
Well, good morning, everybody. Well, we're coming back. There we are. Hello, everyone. All right, let's sing I Am Blessed this morning. I am blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning or I lay my head to rest, I am blessed. I am blessed. I am free. I am free. Yeah, I'm free. I am free. Free. When I wake up in the morning or I lay my head to rest, I am free. I am free. Sing, I am blessed. I am blessed. Yeah, I'm blessed. I am blessed every day of my life. I am blessed, 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 blessed. When I wake up in the morning, so blessed to be here today. I'm grateful to be here with you all. And if you're out there on social media, or perhaps you're sitting in our sanctuary, the few folks who are helping run everything, we're all blessed to have everyone behind the scenes today helping make this happen. Let's go ahead and sing My Soul is Welcome Here. To our practitioner of the day for an invocation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronna Biggs, and I'm your practitioner of the day. Welcome to CSL Bellingham. Take a moment and please join me in prayer. As I breathe into this moment, I know that there is one life, one love, one great joy. And I am connected to this life. In this moment, I allow life to flow vibrantly through my entire being, through this community, to each person near and far. This circle of connection is alive. It is vibrant, it is vital, it is full of love and sparks of joy. And in this time together, I allow the flow of love to come from my very being out into the world. That each step on the earth is goodness, gentleness, something like the beautiful rain that falls. And I see sweet spirit as I sit into this world in the full life, covering the beauty and the joy for this community. Celebrate. And so it's
Thank you, Rana. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Let's sing, you are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are my family. You are the face of love. Take comfort as I am. Surrender all need for a plan. Divine presence is always at hand. Take comfort as I am. Take comfort as I am. Surrender all need for a plan. Divine presence is always at hand. Take comfort as I am. I know there's only one moving me to be and give thanks, for it is done.
Thank you, Rana, and thank you, Amber. Wonderful morning. This is the start of a new month of topics for us here, and the topic for the month is Let Your Life Speak. And the topic for today is Pushed by Pain, which is part of a larger idea brought forward by Michael Beckwith from the Agape Center, pushed by pain or pulled by a vision. But it's important in this discussion to focus on the first part, pushed by pain, which often I sort of talk about and then move to the vision part. And I wanted to talk about the pain part today. And I've brought you a very uncomfortable story that wanted to be told. Would you like to hear it? Yes? Okay. It is uncomfortable. And so I'll give you the backdrop for how I heard about this story. Occasionally, I get to hear the mythologist and storyteller Michael Meade. And Michael works often still with teenagers and young adults who are in inner city gangs. And so he was telling a story about being invited to come and be part of a discussion that was happening between two warring gangs in the inner city. And there had been a lot of killings on both sides, and some really concerned adult community leaders had brought together the heads of the gangs and had gotten them into an auditorium and had invited this white old guy, Michael Meade, to come and see if he could help them find common ground and a way out of the violence. And so he tells this story sort of in desperation, because he's sitting there thinking, well, you know, what are they going to hear from me? And this story has been wanting to be told here in our sanctuary for a while, and it's very uncomfortable. So I've been putting it off, but it seems like today, Pushed by Pain is a good topic to share it with you. It's called The Abandoned Children. And what I invite you to consider while you're hearing this story is any part of your own true nature that in the past or in the now has been abandoned by you. So here's the story. Two children were completely abandoned by their tribe, left behind when everyone went off looking for greener pastures. Once upon a time, not in this place, not in this time, there was a village in the middle of an open plain. The people of that village had decided that the grass must be greener somewhere else. And so they gathered all their belongings and headed out for greener pastures, believing they would find a better life. There was a young girl, a sister, and her little brother, who upon returning to the village found it completely deserted. The children were in great danger because they happened to be out picking berries when the tribe took down their teepees, packed up, and left. All they could see was the dust rising from many moccasins as the big people trudged off down the road that crossed a river far ahead. The sister ran after the people, yelling for the tribe to wait for them. The little brother ran as well, but his legs were short and he was soon left behind in the dust. And since the sister didn't wish to abandon her little brother, she turned back, and the two of them began to make a life in the hollowness of the deserted village. The little brother grew up, but was often silent and moody. He spent more and more time sitting with his head down, caught either in a mood of anger or resentment. And it developed from this practice of his that each time the brother would lift his head and stare at something living, it would die. Despite being left in the deserted village, the sister kept finding things that were surprising or life-supporting in the world around them. She would repeatedly call her brother to look up and see some wonder that the world had brought to their solitary village. Mostly he refused, keeping his head down, preferring his inner emotions and moods. One day, a whole herd of buffalo came thundering by. The sister called her brother to look up and see the wonder. He refused, but the sister insisted that he look up to see the marvelous sight. Well, what could he do? It was his sister, the only one who had cared for him, the only one who had not abandoned him. He raised his head, looked at the wondrous animals, and no sooner did he glance upon them than they fell down dead at the edge of the village. Surprisingly, and as if by magic, the sister began to skin the hides and strip the meat from the buffalo. Soon she had fashioned great robes to keep them warm at night. She also built racks and set the strips of meat to dry in the sun. Later on, the same thing happened when a herd of elk came by, grazing. The boy slew them with the killing stare, and the sister used their skins to cover a teepee frame that had been left standing. She dried the elk meat on the racks, and after that, the children had plenty of food to live on. One day, a raven flew over the abandoned village with its dark wings flashing in the sun. The sister did not bring the appearance of the bird of omens to the attention of her brother. Instead, in her generous fashion, she threw a piece of dried buffalo meat up to the bird. The raven caught the meat and carried it in its beak until it arrived at the site of the new village. The raven then dropped the meat in the midst of a game that the children were playing. When the bird dropped the buffalo meat in their midst, the young ones began to fight angrily over the scrap of meat. For it turned out that the people who had set off in search of grass that was greener found themselves in a place where famine had developed. Instead of living off the fat of the land, they inhabited a wasteland with no game and nothing much to eat but roots that they could scavenge. So eventually, someone stopped the fight that the children were having over the scrap of food, and it was brought to the elders for consideration. They decided to send scouts to verify what the raven said was true. The scouts returned with tales of racks full of buffalo and elk meat drying in the sun, and piles of buffalo robes as well. Soon the whole village packed up again and returned along the path they had taken when they had high hopes of finding abundance. They arrived at the old village and stood in awe of all the dried meat, elk skins, and buffalo hides. They hesitated to enter the altered village, but began shouting greetings to the children as if they had not earlier deserted them. The sister asked why they had not stopped when she cried out to them. They all became silent and sat on the ground. Then the sister asked her brother to look up and see the wonder that had come to the deserted village on that day. Understanding what would happen, the brother refused to look. But now, as if their roles had been reversed, she insisted that the killing stare be employed, while he argued for the side of life against death. As in any dilemma, someone had to give. She was his only sister, who had refused to abandon him when all the others had left him. How could he refuse her now? He had no choice but to raise his head and gaze upon those who had turned their backs upon them in their hour of greatest need. And no sooner did he gaze upon them than they all fell dead. The sister amongst the all those when they helped to them, saying, "I wish that all in their heart again. I wish that those seek forgiveness might come to life and live here with help make the village all over again. With good hearts rise life again." The sister continued to speak. May those live what happened and they deserve children, and they can see and may naturally find. Those who hear this story never forget what happens when people abandon their children, leave them behind. So that's the story. Comfortable enough for me to tell that story that I as I said, because I needed to try to understand what it was telling me and why it wanted to be spoken. Because it's understandable that Michael Meade would tell that story to rival gangs, many of whom had felt abandoned by society, by their relatives, and had found each other as a way to, just like the sister and brother, survive in a very hostile environment. And so the story makes perfect sense in a setting like that. But this story wanted to be told about you and me, and in a different context. And so because the topic is pushed by pain, one of the authors of the talks that are offered to people during the month of June is a woman named Tracy Brown. And Tracy is a woman of color. She's a practitioner within the Centers for Spiritual Living. And her take on pushed by pain is that sometimes it actually takes pain to push us into acknowledging and moving forward into a truer expression of who we are and what is needed in the world. And as I read her words, I was thinking about the times in my life where pain has actually been present, and has pushed me into making changes that had been needing to be made, but I wasn't aware of that entirely. I was aware that I was unhappy. I was aware that I didn't like the way things were going, but I wasn't aware that I needed to move, therefore. And if I could have that, being on the spiritual path as long as I've been on it, I'm wondering, how about you? And how about the situations you found yourself in? And can we take those situations and now bring them into the present moment to talk about letting our lives speak? There's a famous line in a poem, one of my favorite poems, called Ritual to Read Aloud to Each Other. And that poem is written by William Stafford. And I can't recite the whole poem, I didn't bring it today, but there's a line in there that says, and it's important for awake people to be awake. And the answers we give, yes, no, or maybe, to be very clear. For the darkness around us is deep. And that line and this story go together in my mind in this way. We have a choice every moment of our lives, and particularly in moments where pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, is calling to us, is present. And the choice we have is to listen to what's seeking to be expressed and to acknowledge the suffering that's there so that we can glean what it is that we are being called to shift into and with. So we've had a lot of pain in this last year societally. We've had pain in every regard. The pain of losing almost 600,000 people to a plague. The pain of social injustice and iniquity, and the pain that is caused by systemic experiences of people of various different ways of expressing themselves, and the reports from their lives saying, we are in pain and we need to shift things, and the pain that then resulted in people who were not in pain realizing, oh my gosh, there's struggle and there's difficulty and people are suffering, and I wasn't even awake to that. There's that and so many other things. And in our own life, those larger issues reflected in the issues of our expression. So what do we do, and how do we listen in the painful places? Because it's very hard to stay with those places. And how do we do what Stafford is recommending, that we awake people be awake, and that the messages that we send to one another be clear? How does that happen? And I'm reminded of a story that a very famous therapist named Esther Perel, she's from Belgium, talked about. Esther Perel grew up in a village in Belgium that was entirely made up of Holocaust survivors. And she has said that there were two kinds of people in that village. There were the people that didn't die, and there were the people that came back to life. And what she means by that is that when we're faced with pain, we have a choice to make in our personal lives. No matter what the society does, we have a choice in our personal lives to simply not die and to live in the pain, or to actually allow the pain to push us into a vision for our life that allows us to awaken and come back into the creative expression of our truest nature. To do that requires of us that we allow our life to speak, and that we pay close attention to what's being shared, even in the places of pain. And so for me, a lot of the spiritual path has been practicing being able to stay with whatever is in front of me, whatever is within me, to stay. And it's not that easy, but it's really powerful when we learn the ability to stay with what is long enough to understand the message that it's bringing to us, and then to make the changes, to catch the vision of what's possible. I was sharing with Rana before the service began that what I love about the Science of Mind teachings is that it teaches us how to move out from suffering into a life that is free from pain. And the way we do that is to allow the true nature that we are, that is connected to the divine, to have its way with us, to pay attention to what it's saying, to move with it, and to allow it to direct our next right moves, our next right steps. To do that means that we begin to align ourselves to an inner knowing rather than an outer experience. We stay with the pain long enough to turn within and to listen deeply to what our life is saying to us, so that we can deeply move in that direction. And what begins to happen when we do that is clear. We begin to direct the flow of our life in new, powerful, creative ways. The answers we give become clear again. Yes, I want to live. Yes, I want to do more than live. I want to express. I want to be the creative, powerful being that I've always known I could be. And in that way, we move forward, step by step, changing from living a life that is unawakened to a life that is awakened in wisdom and direction, following the inner guidance, letting the life that we choose to live speak and be made into an outer experience. I don't know if it's clear to you from that story, but the brother and the sister live in us. And the brother, by and large, chose to stay in pain, while the sister chose to be in wonder. And wonder is one of the capacities we have, the qualities we have, to open to life and listen to what life is bringing us and what our life is saying. And so the sister was constantly instructing the brother, look up, look up, look up. And yes, he had the killing stare that he could choose to use one way or the other. I often wonder when I think of that story, if there's an add-on story where the brother learns to be discriminating about the way he looks at life and uses the wonder of the sister to help him look without killing. I think you and I have that choice. And so let's come together in prayer. And particularly if you happen to be someone who is now in a position where you're at a crossroads and there's pain in the decision making, if you're in a place spiritually where you're looking to open up and awaken more fully, please know that this prayer spoken in the first person is for you and me. I turn within now to the divine presence that I know inhabits all things. It is not diffused through reality, but rather completely present in all that it is within each of us and within everything. Therefore, all that it is, the wisdom and the love that permeates the universe, is pinpointed within my very being and available, accessible, and speaking to me right now of my unique way in the world. I know that when I am at a choice point, there is an intelligence that is guiding, directing, and opening my eyes and ears and heart and mind to the divine right next way. I know that there is a receptivity within my personality expression that can hear the voice of that wisdom, that intelligence speaking, and is willing to let go of the closed self and open to new expression and new experiences that will allow me to open more fully into my true self. Because I am aware of my willingness to be accessible to that wisdom, I say yes when I hear it and do my very best to follow what I am gifted, again and again, opening to wonder, curiosity, and the willingness to step forward into the unknown. As I do this, my life shapes itself in new ways. Pain becomes vision, and I am guided into new ways that are glorious, powerful expressions of my truest nature. For this guidance and for my willingness, I give thanks, and so it is. All right, well, thank you very much. I'm going to move into announcements right now, and thank you ahead of time for any donations that you give to our center. It means the world to us to have that kind of support in this time of opening. And so the first announcement I have is actually to talk about our opening. I was telling the earlier service that we are going to now begin opening to the 10:30 service. So starting next week, you can register starting today to have a place in the 10:30 service as well as the 9:30 service. So both services are by registration only at this point. And people have been asking me because here in the Pacific Northwest and in our state, it looks like we may be opening fully at the end of this month, but we don't know. And so people are like, well, what do you do? What do you do? And I said, we will listen to guidance, just like I talked about today, and we will practice wonder and curiosity. And what I know of our center is that it has been like a blooming flower, opening more and more gradually since I've been here. And that's how we'll open, is beautifully and slowly and in perfect timing to the light of this new reality. Post-pandemic. So I'll just keep you posted. In the meantime, feel free to register right now for any of the services in the month. You'll see that on our website, and just click on that link and it'll take you to how to do that. Today, after our service at noon, Ronna Biggs is going to be helping lead a discussion of the spiritual principles involved in today's talk. And you're invited to come into the Zoom room and share your thoughts and listen to other people and really have a chance to talk about spiritual matters. So the Zoom link is on our website, cslbellingham.org, and you'll find that link, and then just come on in at noon and have an hour-long discussion with like-minded folks. It'll be wonderful. And lastly, I wanted to let you know that here in Bellingham, we're going to be hosting a solstice celebration. And it will be happening here in the Upper Meadow. It's going to start with you and me bringing our own picnic dinner at 5 o'clock, celebrating the dinner together on the meadow. Bring a lawn chair, we'll put out some tables, and then we'll go into an opportunity to celebrate the longest day of the year, which here in the Pacific Northwest is a pretty big deal. We'd love to have you come and be part of it if you're anywhere close, and it'll go from 5 to 7 o'clock on June 20th, which is also Father's Day. So we'll understand if you can't come because you're busy elsewhere. We'd love to invite you and your father to come, though. And don't forget, the prayers are available Monday through Friday in the Zoom room, offered by the practitioners, as well as evening gratitudes at 8:45 p.m. Right now, I'm going to send you back to Amber Darlin for some closing music, and thank you for being here.
All right, well, let's sing out into this day together. I can feel the power of love inside me. Feel the power of love. I can see the evidence around me. We are the power of love. And my eyes are open to the truth I now embrace. My heart is open by spirit and by grace. I can feel the power of love inside me. Feel the power of love. I can see the evidence around me. We are the power of love. And my eyes are open to the truth I now embrace. And my heart is open by spirit and by grace. We are the power of love. 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 You all have a great week, and we'll see you again soon.